After spending about 40 hours playing Donkey Kong Bananza, I can confidently say it's the best 3D platformer I've ever played. And I know that's very high standards, but trust me, once I make my points and once you have an understanding of my experience, you'll understand what I mean. So first off, as soon as I booted up the game, it was just something completely different. From the first little mining area in Inge Isle, when you spawn in and you're looking for the bananas, it's teaching you the controls, and you're just learning the game. You could tell it was something fresh, just like the mining aspect itself. And even in that area, the first thing you really like see is how well Donkey Kong controls. Just him punching, how strong he feels, the ability where he scavenges loot, uses sonar, like everything from the controls to how the movement feels is great. But even just that alone doesn't make it the best 3D platformer, but I'll get more into why just perfecting how Donkey Kong plays makes it the best 3D platformer of all time. Level design, I feel like they nailed it. The Inge Isle layer wasn't really that good, I will say. It was kind of bare bones for me. It didn't feel like there was much content or just much to traverse. But as soon as I went to the lagoon layer, you could tell like that was perfectly curated. Like every little thing was designed perfectly, from the skips you could do with the movement, from the riding mechanic into the jump, into the punch, just to traverse, just to gap jump easier. Like everything was designed really well, and from the points where you have to go. And then what's really interesting, because even in the lagoon layer, the lower layer, but then you have to go up again and then you enter downwards again. Like I feel like the lagoon layer was done really well, and as soon as I saw that, like I knew I was working with something. And there's just so much to do in each level. Like usually some levels in 3D platforming games are kind of empty, or even the ones that are like packed to the brink with content, some areas aren't that. No, I feel like whether that be getting bananas, there's so much to do in each level, and it's so like perfectly designed. The pacing feels good. Like even if you want to go on a detour to like really explore everything, even in the lagoon layer itself, you could go and destroy the boats. Like even that's fun. Like everything is so much fun. And I feel like part of what makes a level good is the desire to stay away from the checkpoint. And what I really mean by that is, for example, when you're playing some story mode games, you really want to speed through it. You really see like the check mark and you really like want to get it over with. I feel like with Donkey Kong Bananza, for me at least, it was a complete opposite experience. I was trying my hardest to avoid going to the checkpoint, because bro, everything was so fun. Like just exploring the lagoon layer, I was trying to spend the most time there possible, and it wasn't like I was just forcing it, because you know it's the brand new 3D platforming game on the Switch, so I was really trying to soak it in as much as possible. I feel like I genuinely struggled staying away from the checkpoint. And you know, I saw a lot of people saying the same thing. I heard that some people spend like a long time in the spawning area just mining everything, because they want to make sure there's not anything behind it. And just the digging mechanic itself is so fun. This is the perfect game to like really like indulge in that detour, you know, indulge in that I don't really have to go to the checkpoint right now. I could just freely explore the layer and just, you know, just keep having fun. Another thing I really enjoyed was the DK and Pauline dynamic. I understand now, because I was a bit confused at first when they didn't go with Diddy next to DK. Instead they went with Pauline. I was a bit confused when I saw that, but after playing the game and seeing just like how she's the one responsible for the Kong Bananza transformations, and just understanding that she's really carrying the emotional weight of the story, I think Pauline was the best character to really express that. Because for example, Diddy wouldn't have been talking, so I feel like Pauline expressing that vocally and then singing, and then also just the story arc Pauline goes through, like you really understand why they stuck with Pauline. And I feel like it's such a good balance between, you know, the brute strong Donkey that DK is, and then Pauline is the shy singer that really wants to like get her voice out, and like DK helps her go on that character arc, and by the end of the story, you know, she could sing her heart out in front of New Donk City. And then later in Super Mario Odyssey, we'll see like how she fully grew and developed into the amazing singer she is then. And I just feel like it was done really well. Like that story was really heartfelt. Minor spoilers, by the way, so if you have not played the game, actually not even minor, major spoilers, if you have not played the game, please click off this video. Like, I promise you, you need to play this game. But anyways, I feel like when you lose Pauline, I feel like that's when you really understand like how much she means to you. Like when you're in the groove layer and you're looking for her, like you understand just like how important Pauline is to the game. I feel like they really nailed that dynamic. Now, something else I really enjoyed was just how the devs gave you the freedom to skip areas. And now, I know some people are opposed to, you know, sequence breaking and, you know, just skipping entire areas. They, you know, like what's the point of that? Like what's the point of you getting the game if you're just gonna skip content? But the reason why I think it's really fun is because, for example, if you do sequence break an area, like for example, I skip sometimes a lot of checkpoints by going to like the main boss on accident, but you can still go back and, you know, explore it. I feel like this really gives a lot of options for people who like want to do speed runs. I've been seeing people like complete the game in an hour's time or even 2. Like I've seen a lot of people really, you know, take this all the way. Like even a game like Breath of the Wild, you know, as soon as we saw that, how you could go and fight Ganon from the very start, I feel like seeing this in a 3D platforming game like Donkey Kong Bananza, it was just really fun. Like it's really fun to know that, hey, if you really don't want to go on the detour, you see that huge watermelon in the back, you could skip everything and just go there. It's just the freedom of expression this game really allows you to have. I feel like that was done really well, and I'm glad they decided to go with that. Now, this is one that's kind of tricky. I feel like performance is really tricky because I'm somebody who plays on dock, not handheld. So performance for me wasn't that bad. See, I did specifically only play on dock because I know performance can dip a lot on handheld. But I will say this, for what the game is and how there's like a million particles on the screen at once, especially when you're collecting so much gold, and it does that little animation where the gold goes into like the Bonanza form, like little circle thing, and it's just like transporting all of that. Like there's so much stuff on the screen at all times. I feel like it's really crazy to me that a Nintendo game did all of that. Like I feel like I'm just so used to expecting like the minimum from Nintendo. So just seeing so many particles on screen, and I actually can't believe that they were gonna make this game try to run on a Switch 1. I feel like that's absolutely insane. I feel like they would have had the same complaint that people had from playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that it would have been so bad. You know, the hate threads on Nintendo's scummy, why are they getting away with this? But I will say, even though the game for me ran really well, there were a lot of points where it struggled. For example, the one point where I say the frames dipped for me a lot was when I was fighting Void Kong, and he would do that one attack where he would like spawn stuff in a circle, and I feel like my game would lag a lot there. But I understand why the game is lagging. It's because it's literally spawning in, and like I feel like the frame rate, like it was moving like 20 frames per second while my whole entire game is operating at 60. And another time it also dipped was during the major fight towards the end, but I'm gonna leave that point towards the end, but I'll talk about that later. My last point is the story as a whole. I feel like, you know, Nintendo isn't really gonna go too hard on a story. It's not gonna be Expedition 33 tier story, but I feel like I like how Nintendo kind of focuses on the gameplay dynamic rather than the overarching story. But even for what it was, I feel like it was really well done. I feel like the pacing was really nice. I like the cutscenes with Pauline. They didn't feel dragged out or sometimes dumbed down, oversimplified. I feel like DK just being a monkey that just wants his bananas, I feel like that's all you need. He doesn't have to be a complex character with like multiple character arcs and like multiple points. Like I feel like it was very nice for what it was. But what I will say, the game did take a crazy turn towards the end. But before I say anything, I just want to let you guys know that I have never played a Donkey Kong game before in my life. This is my very first Donkey Kong game. So when but even before I ever played this, I understood the hype over King K. Rool. Like even before the game out, I was watching so many videos speculating that he was gonna be the final villain, and there was actually going to be a misdirect with Void. And so when I saw King K. Rool pull up for the last fight, even I was hyped. Like, he had aura immediately. Like, the most I've seen from him was in Smash Bros. But when I tell you that King K. Rool has so much aura on screen at once, like, bro, I'm telling you, that was so well done. I feel like they really went above and beyond to like give him an impactful, meaningful introduction, especially after he hasn't been on screen for like so many years. Like, I'm really glad they decided to go with King K. Rool. But the problem with the King K. Rool fight, even though it was crazy, especially going to the planet core and then coming back to New Donk City, everything, like the spectacle, the sheer spectacle of it all was insane. It was probably one of the most hype moments in any Nintendo game in a very long time. So I will say it was like crazy cool. But the major problem with that fight is, so during that fight, King K. Rool has a mode, well, not a mode, a move where he sends out arms like to attack you. And when I tell you that move has like a combined frames of like maybe -5, like I'm not exaggerating. Like that move, like when my like frame started to dip, I knew he was doing that move. Another complaint I had about that fight was just how big his health bar was. I know a lot of people really liked that he was really hard compared to all the other bosses in the game, but I feel like he wasn't hard, he was just more tedious. Like, rinse and repeating the same, you know, I was using the elephant mode to suck up the attacks and send it back into the gun. So just rinse and repeating that for like 10 to 20 minutes was not fun at all. Towards the end, I was getting really frustrated because I feel like it was just so annoying. Like, why am I sending like 50 orbs and it's doing like an ounce of damage, and why am I going Kong Bananza in his face and it's not doing any damage? So I feel like that specific aspect of the fight was really poorly done. And also the bosses in general. The only one, honestly, my favorite boss was the one in the forest layer, where it's like a little like plant that's like sending things at you. And another one I also really liked was the void fight, but not the first one, the second one, near the planet core, because I feel like him just throwing out everything at you and you have to dodge it was really fun. But besides that, I really didn't have fun with any of the bosses, and I feel like you could tell that's where they decided to put the least amount of effort in. Oh, another one that was also really good was the one in the underground area in the canyon layer, where you have to like ride the minecart and take the explosives and throw it at them. I feel like that one was really fun because you had to like aim, and it was like such a cool thing. And when they did it again in the amusement park layer, I forgot the name, but I will say, like, the layers are so well, like I have to talk about it again. The layers are so well done. Like, they just, like, bro, the radiance layer, the tempest layer, like by the time I got to the tempest layer, I'm like, yo, how many more layers can they do? Like, how many more layers are you gonna give me? And it keeps going. And I feel like it was just like so fun. Like that game was honestly one of the most fun experiences I've had from Nintendo like ever. Like, if you have not given Donkey Kong Bananza a try, please, like I'm telling you, it's gonna be a good experience. Like, I highly doubt you're not gonna like the game unless you really don't like mining. I feel like those reasons are enough to make it the best 3D platform I've ever played. I feel like just the experience of it all, just how fun DK is to play, and just how, you know, out of the box it is. Like, you know, nobody was expecting that. I feel like if you still put Super Mario Galaxy as your #1 3D platformer, I feel like you have every single right to do that. I personally didn't play too much of the Galaxy games, even though I do know they're critically acclaimed. I did play a lot of 3D World, but I had a lot more fun with Bananza. So yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Feel free to check out my other videos on similar content related to Nintendo, and yeah, have a good day.